Oh my goodness, that was rather embarrassing, I think. Um, I think I'm now live and I think it is now visible for everything. Oh my gosh, I gotta do this better next time. So I'm gonna give this a minute. Just hopefully some people will start to join in a bit. Again, I do apologize for being so bad at technology. Um, okay, yeah, I'll give this like a minute or two. If someone's in the chat, damn, I ruined this so much. It's so disappointing, but whatever. Again, I'm bad at technology. It does happen. Um, okay, I got a couple things I want to do. NASDAQ. Okay, it's visible now. Yo, thank you so much for that. Very embarrassing. Very, very embarrassing. So, I've got a list of 2, 4, 6 tickers that I want to cover. There were 2, 4, 5 tickers that 2023 gainers put that I never replied to. So I have those here. And then really from there, if there are any other tickers you want me to throw out, please put them in the chat. Happy 4th of July to the ladies as well, not just the fellas. Fun fact: the biggest fight my wife and I have is I hate holidays. I don't really like care about them. I love 4th of July. Like I love fireworks so much. I live in LA and like there's so many illegal fireworks here and like it's better than Disneyland at times. So I'm very excited for the night. But right now let's focus on the market. I'm going to start with the indices like I always do. I'll then go into the tickers I wanted to cover and then we'll go from there. So let's start to get going. First things first, hey, this is fantastic on the NASDAQ. It's fantastic on the S&P 500 and it's fantastic on the Dow Jones, right? So you've got a good 1, 2, 3 going on right there. That's always the baseline that we need, right? We've been watching the Dow Jones, I think a little bit more than normal on the weekly. So this tried to get over, couldn't confirm. Tried to get over, and really not a great 1, 2 right there. Couldn't go back under. That was a good one. That's a good back to back. We're actually over the biggest candle to the left as well. So Dow Jones on the weekly is finally as good as it's been on the S&P 500 and on the NASDAQ, right? So you can kind of say that these weren't confirming as well either, and that was the kind of same one too. But hey, these were over the moving averages a lot better than the other one, right? So that's why I did care. But overall, where are we, right? We are in a place where the where the Nasdaq and the S&P 500 are over everything. That obviously gets me really excited about tech stocks, and I'm a tech stock guy, right? But with the Nasdaq there too, it kind of makes everything up in the open, and everything should be relatively good, right? The other one I want to look at is Bitcoin, only because there's a couple. What was this? Oh my goodness, what is happening on Bitcoin? Well, this is a good reason why I don't use Bitcoin too much on this system. What is happening? Why is it making it look like something silly is happening? I have no idea. All right, we're going to ignore that. You can see I didn't practice anything before we started, and that's a good example. So I won't look at Bitcoin itself, but I will look at a couple other tickers specifically. So with that, look, the tickers I'm going to show are in no absolute order. I'm not going to cover quant and I'm not going to cover weed because I want to make some videos on those later today. But we'll start with TMC. I think look, I'm not here to fall in love with a stock, but I'll be real honest with you. I've kind of fallen in love with this stock, all right? We first started talking about this thing around November when Trump actually got elected. Really, once he hit office, which was right here in early January, right? You can see the thing just went ridiculous, right? I'll be honest, I didn't get as much as I wanted down here only because I was afraid of the market, right? So it took me a bit to get comfortable and go. But really, even if you got in late, even if you got in after that earnings right there, there's still been an amazing gain here. What's really interesting is there seems to still be more, right? All we are doing is bouncing on the 8, coming to the 20, bouncing on the 8, coming to the 20, bouncing on the 8, coming to the 20, and going again, right? So we have been very nicely using the 8 and the 20, very nicely taking our RSI up, bringing it down, taking it up, bringing it down, and seemingly taking it back up again, right? So I'm seeing a very nice recovery right here on TMC. I'm seeing volume trying to come back. And again, that was a very short day right here, right? It was only a couple hours and we still got over the 50-day line, right? So a lot to actually like on TMC. And when you look at the weekly, we're basically in the middle of this red, red, red trying to get to 10, 15-ish, right? So let's use 9, 10. But this is very, very high on the weekly. I'm for sure not ignoring that, right? So you can see the wick already did it too. It basically came down to 50%. So be careful if the weekly gets a little too hot. But yeah, that's a really interesting daily reset, actually. So this one's definitely something I'm going to be looking at come Monday. The next one, kind of related, is NAC. So NAC actually had some news. Can I jump around and show different things? Does the screen jump or is it frozen on where I'm at? Sorry, give me a sec. There's like a couple second delay. No, I don't think you're seeing the screen I'm on. I'm frozen on the chart. Okay, never mind. Well, there was a headline that came out today for NAC. I'll throw it in the chat. It looks like NAC got some really good news from the EPA. So this is a company that has drilling rights in Alaska. Yo, there is a lot of controversy drilling in Alaska, right? So that's a topic for itself that we're not trying to get into, but it looks like the EPA might be giving them an okay to do something. I didn't really read it hardcore, but watch NAC on Monday. All right, the news literally just came out today. Again, when you look at the weekly, right, there is red, 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 green, 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 red, 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 and a lot of nothing, nothing, right? This thing might make a move to 250. And then really, if it breaks 250, that's where you're going to start thinking almost 4, right? So it's only $1.40 stock. So do not think about $4 on a $1.40, right? We still got a lot of places to go. But if this thing got some actual real EPA news, might be worth something to keep in your back pocket, right? Again, buy the rumor, sell the news is a really true saying, right? So maybe the fact that the news came out, there might be a little bit of a drop. Just be careful with that. But in a lot of ways, if the EPA said you can drill in Alaska, NAC is kind of the only one that would be allowed to drill in Alaska. That might be a wrong statement. Double check that, but just there's a lot right there with the news and with NAC, right? And hey, it's been trying to stay over all the moving averages. We just talked about TMC riding the 8 and the 20 pretty well. It's still in the 8 and the 20 pretty well, right? So, yo, I'm going to do a quantum video today. I will throw QS in there. I'll probably do a quick one on this one too, but I did want to make a quant video later today, actually. Next one I want to look at is HIMS. So I will be honest, this one like TMC, I've been holding this thing for a good while. I actually did sell a little bit on this drop right here. It actually did a lot better than I expected it to. But the story on HIMS basically is they're calling it a disruptor to the pharma industry. And pharma is a real, real big industry. And if something's going to come disrupt that, it's gonna catch my attention, you know. I think a wrong side of that was Jumia, JMIA. People were saying that was gonna be the Amazon of Africa. That got my attention. That hasn't done as well, right? So believe me, not all disruptors do well, right? But HIMS, I like the fact that it's trying to disrupt the pharma industry. So this thing looked like it was about to push all-time highs. It looked like it bounced, and it was ready to go, break the golden line and go. They had a real bad news on some weight loss drug. I don't remember the exact story. I don't know if it lost placement. I don't know if it lost approval. I don't know exactly what, but this was a single news related to a weight loss thing that got messed up. In a lot of ways, it's good to see that the 100 moving average held it, right? But really, for me, if we can get back over this 53.18 line, oh, I'll be back in HIMS. I'll tell you that for sure, right? I think this is a really interesting ticker, but for now, we're under the 8 and the 20. We're obviously under the 50 as well. You get me over this line, it'll get me over actually all 5 of the moving averages, right? So I like HIMS a lot over 53 and change. Let's call it 53.20, right? A couple pennies over, but The real goal would be to break that. But very, very sad that this thing didn't go all-time highs. And again, just look at where we were, right? RSI was a healthy 65. MACD was a positive number, green over red. Sometimes news is more important than fundamentals, right? I'm never here pretending that's not the truth, but you know, I'll use the technicals to tell me when the fundamental noise is gone, right? So HIMS is one that I actually do always watch. I'm gonna love it over that 53 line right there. Yo, this one, I think I'm really liking, and I need to figure out if I should or shouldn't, right? So really the whole story is this candle right here, okay? This was the day that we got 20 million shares. As you zoom out and zoom out, you can see it was really the biggest thing since the year started, right? In the last, what, 5-6 months. The news seemed real as well. It looked like they got an OEM contract. And to me, what I was watching was this escape of the 100 moving of the 200 moving average, right? Just zooming out, zooming out. Since that beginning of the year pop, we've been under it. And really outside of that beginning of the year pop, yo, we've basically never been over the 200 moving average line on LIDR, okay? I like this because there's been a bunch of attempts literally on every single trading day, right? None of it's confirmed yet, but attempt, good one right here, right? And what I want to see, if it's true, is the news, technical bounce, and let's technical go, right? So LIDR has my attention. That's a very healthy 61. That's actually a positive MACD with the green over red, right? On the weekly, look at that crazy interesting doji right there. That's a good, it's a not a great MACD. It's definitely still technically negative, right? But good divergence on both. Best volume we've seen in quite a while, right? And lastly, again, remember, it was a short trading day. And even on the short trading day, we still got over the average line, right? So LIDR has my attention for sure. And really, what we're looking for is to confirm this. And I mean, you've got a green, red, nothing, right? So I would, what's this line? I guess we would use 130 maybe as the initial target, 140, right? But really, I'm looking for 155. Break 155, we're probably coming to 192, right? And then after 192, that's where things might get really interesting, right? And hey, even a move from a buck something to 160, 190, those are silly percentages right there, right? So LIDR really has my attention. I'll be honest with you. I texted a couple homies saying, hey, take a look at LIDR, right? So I loved the volume on the real news. Sometimes it doesn't happen day of, right? Especially if you're going to pump and dump volume like that, right? But we never really got rid of the 200. We obviously never lost the moving averages. And yo, that's a decent reason to make me think we're trying to escape. So LIDR, all about the 200 moving average. If it does not get over the 200 moving average, it is completely game over. But if it does, one last time, it will arguably be the first time in existence that we're over it, right? So this one very much has my eyes. We talked about bull a couple videos ago. Bull is trying really hard, I would actually say, right? Look at that volume, right? It's not monster numbers, but hey, 28 million is a really good volume count, especially when you were only at 6 a couple days ago, right? So you're going to go from 6 to basically 30. You're looking at a 5x volume jump right there, right? I am reading Sarah's comment right now. Shoot me your... I just made a really good BBAI video. Go check that out. That's my answer, but it's either going to come down to 7 or just keep running, and I give you reasons for what I think on that. I just covered BBAI. But bull, though, one more time. Loving the volume, all right? Loving this attempt. That's a good candle, and that's an interesting doji. Yo, for sure, I see the after hours drop. I do, okay? To me, I'm actually still ignoring that. I really am, because number one, after hours doesn't count to me, right? Number two, all I really need to know is, are you going to break the 50 or not? And I mean, in a lot of technical ways, it actually still stayed over the 50 on that after hours, right? So I for sure see the drop, okay? I really do. But regular hours matter more, and it matters more for a reason, all right? So I think the lowest I would probably, that's actually exactly where we're at after hours, I think, right? I would have basically drawn this, give or take, top of this, because top of this is still going to get me over the 50, and it's actually almost a perfect 50% candle right there. That's actually what we did. We wick it to the penny? To the penny. You can see the low was 13.21, right? So I think that after hours drop actually makes a lot of sense now that I drew that line. I'm going to delete this line because for sure it way matters more about the 50 moving average. But so far, I'm okay with that, right? I think the easy thing to say, it's a little bit more of a drop than I want to use, but technically it is actually bullish as low as 1275. So, yeah. Hey, Sarah, I covered TMC first. I like TMC. I'm going to just do it one more time because I do like it. So, same question for TMC. Look, honestly, I think TMC just went up. Nice technical recovery and is ready to go back up. So TMC, I think, just did the healthy cool down. We're worried about BBAI, right? RSI was up here, ends up coming down here, ready to go back up, and it's a healthy 66, right? BBAI, oh, this thing hasn't healthy cool down yet, right? So I can see this needing to come back down, maybe to that 7 line, then go back up, right? So there we go. And hey, I promise, Saul, I will do QS because I went back to the BBAI that I said I wouldn't. So, bull, I think that's pretty good. My kitty wants to come in. What are you doing? Come on in. Welcome. Welcome. You want to learn about the stocks too? Good. Okay, cool. So, bull, again, all about the 50, still technically okay, as low as like 1275. Where are we on the weekly? Yo, that's a nice weekly candle right there, right? Even this, I mean, give or take 50% of this week is actually 1250, right? So let's not lose 1275. And hey, look at that weekly volume. This was the best week of trading in a very, very long time, right? So honestly, I think there are more good things on this than that after hours drop. And let's be real honest, let's call it 5% drop plus the 2% that it gained, it really only dropped 7%. So like, I really wouldn't call it a crazy thing, man. Bro, I love doing this. Like the enthusiasm is just, it's so easy when you love doing this so much. You know what I mean? And I'm not even doing this for profit, right? Like it's not like I'm paying rent. So like, I'm worried if like people aren't here and stuff. I just love this stuff, you know? The hardest part of me doing this is not cursing. I grew up watching South Park, and man, it's so hard. Now I curse talking to my parents. I love them so much, but like it's a back of my head thing. You should never know who's into what and who doesn't like this and that, right? But enthusiasm all day for sure. So I have 2 more I wanted to cover. So let's look at Run. So I want to give I don't know if he's watching or not. One of my buddies called Run, actually. We said it was going to go to 10, and yo, it's actually now at 1050, right? What's really, really interesting is the potential escape of all 5 and ready to fly, right? So you know me, I don't like a stock under all the moving averages, right? But when there's a lot of green, 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 red, 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 to some, that's a good setup. And man, my boy caught it real early on an interesting doji. I was surprised it got through the cluster. Clearly it did. Not a bad channel from 8 to 10 right there either, right? So to me, this is the thing I was really excited for. He didn't care, and he got even more of it than I did, right? So it's always, there's so many different ways to trade strategies and this and that, right? But look, even if you completely missed all of it, yo, this is getting interesting, right? Because we tried to get over, couldn't really quite, and then now we're trying again. And if you're a pattern person, yo, I see a W. W is for winning. We've gotten over this. If we get over this, it's game over, right? So maybe even arguably over that. I would probably use that. I'm looking for 1220 next, which is again almost a 20% move from this $10 right here, right? If it gets over 1220, there actually might not be a lot stopping it from 17 right there, right? Volume's not bad. Volume's been growing, and look, volume was nowhere near the white line for a really long time. All of a sudden, the last, couple months has just been a really interesting difference. You still see that valley down here, right? But we had the moments, we're getting the moments. I think Run is at least worth some eyes, right? And again, just because you missed all that from 6 to 10 doesn't mean you have to miss 10 to 12 or whatnot, right? So where's this on the weekly? Again, that might be a little difficult. We just talked about literally that 1220. What's your, it's 1235, right? So yeah, I think around 1220 will be difficult. But if you break 1220, this thing's actually saying 20, right? So there's a lot of echoed thoughts on the weekly for those daily thoughts, right? Last one I want to throw out, GRYP, and this is going to be a transition to the crypto ticker. So there is a HUT merger or a HUT acquisition that is on the table with this stock, all right? What really caught my attention were the last two dojis, all right? And when you go doji to doji, oh man, right? Like generally a doji, what they're doing, they as the traders, they're waiting for the next day, right? In a 7-hour trading day, this thing moved a penny. This thing opens at 89 cents and then goes up to 90 cents, right? 1 penny, 7 hours, right? Then we do the exact same thing. Not really a 7-hour. No, this was the low one. Another 7 hours, we go from 21 cents to 17, right? We're literally moving a penny in hours, even though some people thought it should fly, some people thought it should die. They basically said, hey, let's wait for the next day. That was an interesting next day right there. And all of a sudden, I'm seeing us trying to get over the last real green candle, right? If we get over that, that's, I guess there's more back here than I didn't really see. But look, there's so much to like over 140. There really is, because from there, you're just talking crazy IPO crash. And I mean, there's a lot happening right there, right? Maybe that's the candle. 145. Yeah, I'll set an alert right there, actually. Let's do an alert's not an immediate buy notification, but there could be some interesting all-time high breaks if we do get over 145 right there. I covered HIMS actually just after NAC. So HIMS was my third one. And then I will throw in GVH. I don't know that one. I'll get that on this list right here. I'm about to do a couple other viewer requests in a sec. So this one, though, is very much a can it run all-time highs? It's definitely game over if it comes back into the 90-cent realm, right? Really, I think it's arguably game over if it loses 109. I don't think I would want to stay in this trade under 109 because that's basically 50% of that and almost the top and the bottom of that, right? But stay over 109. I very much like this. Break 145, and you might be talking all-time highs right here on this one. I'm going to try Bitcoin one more time. Why did it look so bad? Yeah, it's still a really ugly chart. I don't know why. Sorry, it happened. So what was that ticker? GRYP. So this right here is all the tickers I really wanted to look at really quickly. Give me a sec. How long have I been talking for? 23 minutes. Get out of here. It does not feel like 23 minutes. I'm going to set a chapter break right there. So I now have 2, 4, 5, 7 tickers, including QS and GVS from this chat. If there are any tickers you want me to look at, there's only 8 of us now, so it's all good, right? You're for sure going to get the one you want to hear. Put it in the chat. I'll cover it. Otherwise, let's start going through this. This first chunk is from 2023 gainers. He gave me, or she gave me, I actually have no idea. I got a bunch of tickers, and let's see what these all look like. I believe they are all crypto related is what the comment was. I like math. I do like math. Number one, I like math. I'm actually really good at math, so I can do the percentages relatively quickly. This is an interesting chart right here, right? We still need more, but that's a really interesting doji over all 5 moving averages. I wish the RSI wasn't so downtrendy, and I wish that the MACD wasn't so downtrendy. At the minimum, I would think I want the green over red here, but I see the attention that's worth it here, right? Very, very nicely riding the 8 moving average. We slip below the 20, but we never confirm. Even all that, I mean, it's not a great couple day ride, but bad candle, no confirmation. Bad candle, dojis don't count, and all of a sudden we're right back over, right? So I think math is a really interesting ticker. I would use 375. I think if this gets over 375, that's a good money line right there. Oh, interesting. Break 417, and there's a lot to love. That's basically 4 flat because you're also at the bottom of that. Where are you 4 flat? That's the peak of that. Yo, I think I'm going to go with this. I think the next target is 408. That's actually a really nice percentage, right? That's more than 20. It's not quite 20%, but it's about 15%. Let's see if it goes to 408. If you can get over $4.08, I really got to start thinking all-time highs. From there, you'll probably retest 530, give or take, and then there might not be that much stopping it. What do those candles kind of look like right there too? I hadn't seen this ticker before. Come on, what's happening? It's freezing on me. Sometimes I get annoyed. It's not working well. Sorry, didn't let me do what I wanted it to do. But yeah, hey, I would say watch math. Math is definitely well worth eyes on Monday. SBET. I've been seeing some people talk about SBET. Okay, interesting. So I have no idea what made that thing gap up right there. Earnings were right there, so I mean, it doesn't even look like fantastic earnings, and it was well after the earnings. I don't know what it was. I'll be honest, I don't know if I like this chart or not, okay? Obviously, I see this gap fill, and I see a reason to believe that this thing wants to come to 29 bucks. We're only at 12.13, right? So that's obviously a real big move. I have to at least sit here saying it's going to be hard to get over 17. Again, going from 12 to 17 is actually a really nice move. I for sure see that, but I'm looking at a stock that's pretty much under all the moving averages. I mean, since 2021, right? I'm seeing a random pop, a very quick drop, and then again, basically living in the lines, right? When there's that, this one bothers me because the risk reward is tough here. You can make a play from 12 to 17. That's not a bad gain. You might drop from 12 to 20, which like arguably isn't a horrible drop, but it is a double-digit drop, right? So the risk reward here is interesting. Obviously, I see the volume, right? But I think there's better tickers out there than SBET personally. So what does the weekly look like just to look at it? Again, there's technical things, right? You're getting caught. Maybe this thing wants to come to 21. If this can get over 14, yeah, if this thing can get over 14, you'll get over that candle. Maybe 14 to 17 will be worth it, but really, I think there's better tickers on this thing. If it gets over 17, it'll have my attention. But yeah, I wouldn't do SBET personally. Hey, I will throw RIOT to the list. I got you. Don't worry. Again, keep throwing tickers in the chat if there's anything you want me to look at. CRCL is the next one. CRCL, Circle Internet. Oh, all right. There's some interesting things happening here. Okay, number one. Never look at a stock, say to yourself it's $188 and it's too expensive. I used to do that. It is the dumbest thing you can do, all right? If you buy 200 $1 shares or you buy one $200 share, it's the exact same $200. And believe me, back in the day, I wanted more shares so that I could see all those shares go up and blah, blah, blah. That is not how stock trading works. I promise you, all right? The whole story here is $200. You get over $200, you're going to get over the only moving average you have. You're going to get over the biggest candle to the left. You're going to all-time highs, right? So there is so much to love on Circle over 200. Otherwise, I don't have a lot of information, so there's not too much more I can say, right? Volume's been dropping. I don't like it when we're at 100 and then all of a sudden we're that close to 20, right? Like that's an 80% in volume drop. But I think all I really care about is getting over 200. You get me over 200 and then there's going to be a lot to like on Circle, right? If I was to say a leg down, I think 175 makes the most sense for a leg down. If this loses 175, 170, yo, it's game over and it's going to come down really quickly to 130. So you don't want that, right? But break 200, I'm expecting 20% after 20% after 20% like we do with all-time high tickers, right? We haven't been alive for 8 weeks, so we don't even have a moving average on the weekly. There's not a lot I can say on this one since there's not a lot of information, right? Clearly, I can't even talk about this RSI. Yeah, it's a healthy 63, but what if the red line's actually over the green line, right? So I'm ignoring these. I'm at least looking at the volume, but it's all about the moving average right there. FLD, I'll be honest with you, I've been watching FLD. I haven't done anything with this one just yet, but this is an interesting chart right here, right? So far, it hasn't been over the moving averages good enough. I remember this day. I'll be real honest with you. I thought I was going to go a little big on FLD on June 9th right here. I liked that candle. We were over the biggest one to the left. I was ready. I saw the doji the next day. I didn't buy. I was so ready to buy, and I'm glad I didn't. Clearly, it came back down after, right? But really, not a crazy, like we're still just in the lines right now, right? So all that matters at this point, that's a little too low. All right, look, I think it's $4. As long as this is over $4, I think it is still technically bullish, all right? What we really need to, that's a little too high. It's tight, but I think 480, I'll set that alert. 490 is not bad. I think 490 is an interesting alert here because really what we really need to do is get over this candle, which closed at 505. 505 is probably the safe line. There's no such thing as safe, right? But get over 505. All I can really be thinking about is 6. Get over 6. All I could really think about maybe is 7 something, right? So I've been watching FLD. I've been hoping it broke the minimal moving averages that it has. Clearly it hadn't. And again, that's why we live and die by the lines, right? But I do like this over 5. I hate it under 4. It's kind of in no man's, no woman's world at this point right here, right? So cool. That's FLD. Coin is the next one. I mean, I should probably throw in hood as well, right? Coin, where are we? We're at our golden line of 340, right? Hood, where are we? We smashed our golden line at 70 and went into 94, right? I like looking at coin and hood together because I see them both as banks. I see them both as like a crypto bank, right? So, man, both are just looking great, right? And again, when the S&P, yo, I got you on Riot, we're almost down there. I will include Mara as well, no problem. Mara. All I can think about is break all-time highs and go, right? And look, this is a beautiful technicals. We tried right here. Our RSI, if you're looking in the box over there, was a very high 86. We're going to come right back down to the 8 and the golden line. That was a resistance, then becomes a support. We're going to take our RSI from that crazy 80 all the way down to a healthy 69. Let's bounce back and go, right? So I'm seeing a beautiful technical move right here. Attempt, reset, let's go. We're never losing the lines on that entire way, right? So I like coin, and I got to throw hood in as well. This is what happens when you break our golden lines. All I can expect is for you to gain 20% like we just said on FLD. Look at this thing, right? Literally 20% from our golden line is that $14, is that 94 that we're at right now, right? Good things happen over all the moving averages. Good things happen in all-time highs. Don't average down all-time lows. It's a horrible, horrible, horrible thing, all right? GVS. All right, we're getting into the chat tickers now. Yo, I'm almost done with tickers. So if there's no more tickers, we're going to be ending it. GVS, was that a typo? Sarah, did I mess that up? GVH. I have bad handwriting. GVH. Oh, girl, that was a good transition to what I said, right? We don't like look. I'm never here to tell you buy. I'm never here to tell you sell. I'm never here to tell you hold. I don't know if your last name is better than my last name. If you've got trust fund, that doesn't matter if you lose, right? So like, I'm not here to tell people what to do with their money. What I like saying is don't buy under the moving averages. Let's buy over. What were we just looking at? Goodness, coin. Let's buy over all the moving averages, right? Let's break some all-time highs, right? To me, this isn't that's not the game. And again, you know what? Let's also look at run, right? I'm also here saying don't buy under the moving averages. My buddy said no, I'm wrong, and all of a sudden he did better, right? So trust me, there's I'm not always right, and for sure, there are people that are willing to take a bigger risk than I am. You know what I mean? So it's there's just because I'm saying something doesn't mean anything, right? But GVH, I loved it right here, right? Once we lost the 8 and the 20, and look, clearly that wasn't enough, right? But that's a scary gap down. All of a sudden, I'm worried about you break all 5 up and you fly, you lose all 5 down and you die, right? That's a real scary one too. And then obviously you saw why the thing. Look, I'm again, I'm never here to say buy, sell, or hold, right? But the easiest thing that changed my game is selling. All right, it's not about buying. Believe me, it's not about buying. It's about selling. If you can get out of your losers quick enough, you put that money into the next winner. Look, again, I my last name's nothing special, all right? I don't have these trust fund. I live in LA, right? There are people that don't have to work cuz generation money, right? Like that's not my game here, right? I'm also not here redistribute like I don't deposit new money into my trading account. Knock on wood, I haven't done that in a long time actually, right? My goal is to make my money grow. And when you're stuck in a ticker, oh man, it's so hard. And believe me, I've sold things that went on to make 30% after 30% after 30% after 30. Believe me, I've made bad sells. All right. It's not about that individual sell that you messed up on. It's about doing it over the course of your trading career. Yo, I have sold things that ran the next day. All right. I've done that multiple. I've never on any of my videos said I have like a 90% accuracy rating. All that's BS. All right. I miss more than I hit. I'm going to say it one more time. I get way more. I don't even know if I'm a 50-50 trader. If I had to guess, I'd probably get 65% wrong if I had to guess, right? Look at how many tickers we're looking at, right? Like if you're looking at so many, you're going to mess up so many, right? The thing to my game is, yo, I know when I'm wrong. And I'm not here pretending I'm some magical chart reader dude that like, I'm not wrong. The stock is wrong. No, I'm wrong, right? People talk about manipulation. People talk about this and that. No, we were wrong. We hit buy incorrectly. And you sell and you buy the right thing next. And that is the game. I promise you, I get way more wrong than right. Knock on wood, I sell on time. Sometimes I sell wrong because I was right and I got too impatient. That's the other half of the coin, right? But that's my advice on this ticker. I'm gonna try to chapter this as its own thing because I really enjoyed that little rant right there. Yo, I get way more wrong than right one last time. Knock on wood. Hopefully, I sell on time and I move to the next one. That's what swing trading is. That's what technicals is, in my opinion. Live and die by the lines is that little rant I just went on, all right? GVH, maybe my favorite ticker of this whole thing, even though it was the worst of the charts. Let's look at QS. Yo, I'm going to cover the quantum tickers today, all right? I really like all of them. And if you watched my BBAI, I think 2 videos ago, my guess was quantum might be next, all right? Because quantum wasn't doing that well, right? QS is actually the only outlier. And QS, and actually it went from up here to down here. So this thing's actually been pretty low right now, right? But you look at Rigotti, this thing's trying. You look at QBTS, this thing's trying. You look at IonQ, this thing's trying. You look at QSI, this thing's trying. Even QS, this thing's trying again, right? So really, I like all the sector. And really, it's a matter of which one do you want to look at and go after. Do you want one that's like QS that's been over all the moving averages and trying? Do you want one like Rigotti that's actually been kind of stuck in it and trying to take off? Do you want one like QSI that's kind of in the middle of the two, right? It's actually been away, but it's actually been kind of stuck, and it's you know what I mean? So I actually like all of these tickers, and the question is, which one do you want to look at and pick, right? So I'll for sure make a better video on it. I at least wanted to call out QS and really, I think all of the sector, right? But since QS was the one that was asked for, look, we're over that line. And obviously we're over the 8 moving average. So in a lot of ways, the chart is saying it all, right? That's an interesting doji. It couldn't give us the bounce up we needed. We obviously fell. That's why we have the moving averages as well as my little human lines, right? So I'm seeing a stock that couldn't quite hold 50% perfectly, but moving averages, I always say, matter than my simple little human clicks, right? So we tried to escape, we couldn't, we technically bounced, we're still over 50% of the big candle. The next target right now is retest that high right there. I like the RSI. It's a little, like 70 is a little close to 80, but there's still some good room from 70 to 80 as long as NASDAQ keeps going up, right? As long as NASDAQ keeps going up, that's the same 70. That's a good little divergence on the MACD right there. I gotta like QS as well, right? And I gotta at least, I gotta at least believe that it's gonna wanna, like I said, basically bring a 10% gain, try to retest that 770 right there, right? Last two for the day, I think we're gonna look at Riot and Marathon. My wife actually gave me an hour, so we're 9 minutes away from the hour. This is perfect right here. Riot. Look, I'll be honest. I'm okay with this chart actually. So I'll tell you what caught my eye. That doji right there looks like this doji right here. And when that one happened, it did go down real quick. I'm seeing another one right here and it did go down real quick. I am not a candle trader, right? But I don't like that doji right there because of the last two that I'm seeing right there, right? Keep that in your back pocket, all right? At the minimum, I would say this. If this thing goes down to 1180, it's still very much bullish. Truth be told, I think this can, I'm going to guess that line's going to come. I think this can come as low as 1140 and still be technically bullish, right? So the real goal is, oh yeah, we're stuck in this right here. Oh, yeah, just give me one good... Hey, I like Riot. I think I like Riot more than I don't. I see the wick just trying to escape, too. What's our money line? 1280. Break 1280. I'm going to set that alert. Let's do 1282. An alert's not an immediate buy, you know that. But break 1282, I think you're going to run to 16. Red, 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 green, 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 red, 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 green, 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 red, right? Like we're just stuck right in the middle of it, basically. I think you break that. There's not a lot stopping it from going to 16 right there. I like the MACD. I like the RSI. Just needs a little bit of volume. It was a short trading day yesterday, right? So we really can't care that much. So I like Riot. I do. Oh, look at the weekly, right? It's making its way on through, trying to get on above. You give me that candle that we just set the alert for. That'll be a good confirmation there. This thing's saying 16.2. I like Riot. Awesome. Sarah, I'm about to go too. Thank you so much. Hopefully you weren't offended, but yeah, hopefully we gained some good stuff from GVH right there. Mara is the last one. I think the exact same comment on Riot. I like this setup right here. This thing's trying to escape. We got a good MACD and RSI. My next line up here is at 21 basically. Where are we compared to that? Yeah, I think if you can give me $1 more, I think if you give me 1860, I'll call it confirmation, and that'll make me believe 21 is there. You break 21, and there's a lovely channel up to 30 actually. So, yeah, I like this one. What's the weekly at? Ah, that's an interesting weekly. Maybe we get a little stuck and we come down to like 17-ish, 1750, because look, there's 3 moving averages right there on the weekly, right? But I like the daily. I really wish, I'm going to do it one last time. BTC. What does this look like? Okay, so the Bitcoin ETF still looks good. I think I'm going to look at it like this. This is still good, and it makes me still think that Bitcoin is still going up. And yeah, if that thing goes up into all-time highs, that should help Marathon and Riot break out of the moving averages that they need. So Cool. Hey, I think that's it for now. I can't believe I messed up the first one. I forgot how to share the screen. So embarrassing. Hey, happy 4th of July. I love fireworks so much, so I'm very, very excited for all the fireworks. We'll be back to it. My goal is actually to make a video or two between today and tomorrow, too. So have a great one, everyone. Bye.